Hi, my name is John, and this is Business Update. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about the Live Golf situation wherein they're making inroads, headway in terms of making the counterpart to the PGA more viable or sustainable in terms of not just getting uh, current top players in the PGA Tour, but as well as getting key people to promote or talk about the sport. And in this case, they're trying to get partners to televise the event, but currently they're still looking for TV networks to showcase because of the severe repercussions or backlash from for those who are not familiar, that the Live Golf is backed by the Saudi nationals, so they're throwing a lot of money to entice players, people to participate in this particular tournament. Anyway, so the in today's article, we're focusing on one such analyst. In particular, if you may be familiar, a Hall of NBA Hall of Famer, the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley, who is being courted by the group to be one of the analysts here. And for those who are not familiar, Charles Barkley, and I'm a big fan of him, is a known TV commentator who represents the TNT inside the NBA, and he talks about primarily the NBA or the National Basketball Association. Now, the interesting here is he's a very popular individual in terms of his color commentary, in terms of being colorful, in terms of his being straightforward, in terms of his discussion here. Some people does not like it. Well, personally, I like his how he presents himself, and many people tend to forget how tremendous of an athlete he was in his heyday. But many of the young kids nowadays tend to remember him for the big fat dude that talks a lot of a lot of things, good and bad things, and that's to get the rub people the wrong way here. But anyway, in terms of the article here, as mentioned, according to the sportscasting.com, it mentions that Charles Barkley is selling out for the Live Golf, likely means the end of an era at TNT here. Now, this is pretty interesting because Charles Barkley has mentioned in the past that he's planning on retiring sometime in the near future, because obviously he mentioned that he doesn't want to be a senior citizen and still doing this type of job. But still, money talks here, and if the Live Golf tournament or the people in charge are seriously considering getting his services, they need to pay a pretty hefty amount to be able to entice him. Now, on his part, whether it's the right choice, it all boils down to numbers. At the end of the day, if it's a compelling case in terms of the sums of money, I think Dan Patrick, which is a good friend of Mr. Charles Barkley, has discussed in a recent video that I think he's earning less than 10 million in being an analyst at the TNT here. And if Live Golf is looking to be able to uh, uh, pry him away, they need to, you know, at least double, triple, or quadruple the amount, maybe close to 20, 30, 40, 50, or even close to 100 million if they want to get his services, not just in the current year, but moving forward, would be the only logical course here. But obviously, making those choices can have severe ramification for Mr. Charles Barkley here personally. Obviously, the backlash of being a, as mentioned in the article here, of being a sellout because being enticed of the money here. Now, obviously, you could look at it in two ways in terms of, yes, it may look like a sellout, but if someone is willing to pay you an exorbitant amount of money, just like in any other sports or in business, if they're willing to pay you a hefty amount, obviously the opportunity is there. You want to consider it. Now, regarding of the consequences, that's another matter here. But the sad fact here is regarding the state of the golf, of the PGA golf, is in terms of the prize money or the money that the golfers, the top golfers, are able to earn. And if you look at other sports, whether it's in Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, the National Football League, or even the National Basketball Association, all of those main major sports in the United States, many of those players, even obviously at the top players earns an exorbitant amount of money, but the mid tier to lower or even the veteran players or minimum players earn a significant amount of money. But that's not the case in golf because they are somewhat independent contractors here, so they don't get a fixed amount of money in terms of playing the sport of golf. And if the PGA were able to increase which they should have done long time ago, to make it competitive, make it compelling, that they would not be enticed to join other leagues, in this case the LIV Golf. And let's look at the article here. As I mentioned here, it mentions here that Charles Barkley recently confirmed that he'd be meeting the LIV Golf to discuss joining the Saudi-backed series as a broadcast crew, and that's going to take place later this week, with hundreds of millions to spend from the public investment fund of the Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, they've already poached some of the biggest names in players in terms of, you have Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Bryce DeChambeau, to name a few. And obviously, getting more people interested in the game, making it sustainable is the key to compete with the PGA Golf. Now, it's not just the Charles Barkley is being poached to be one of the commentators here. They were able to get already a highly entertaining David Ferretti from NBC Sports to be part of the commentary group. Obviously, in the game of golf can be kind of dull, so the personality or individual involved in discussing it can make it more interesting and more entertaining, so to speak. And obviously, Charles Barkley is a big fan of golf, which is why he's seriously considering the offer here. And whether he decides to accept it, there are always consequences to any decision that one makes here. And in this case, obviously, he's still under contract under TNT to be one of the main hosts of that show here. And it's not only that can hamper or could affect his relationship here. Maybe he will have to give up the TNT gig there. But according to Dan Pantrick, which is a good friend of Mr. Charles Barkley, he mentions that if Barkley does indeed sign with the LIV Golf, as mentioned, he may have to leave. He may have to leave Turner or TNT here. Now the question is, why does he have to leave? Maybe he can make a what do you call this? He making such arrangement that he can do both of his job, because it's not a daily grind here. So maybe it's possible. And another key aspect of this is in terms of the endorsement that can severely hamper Mr. Barkley's prospects moving forward. So obviously, for to compensate for that loss, possibly loss in the future, then they need to really pony up a hefty amount to be able to convince Charles Barkley. And in terms of what role does Mr. Barkley, have to do in the LIV Golf tournament here as a commentary, maybe be part of the player. I think that was mentioned by Mr. Dan Patrick here. It mentions here, this was mentioned by Charles Barkley. He mentions that regarding in his role or joining the group here, to answer that question is 100% yes. I'm going to meet with the LIV group, and mentions that he will be speaking with Greg Norman. So it will be up to Greg Norman, a former player, to be able to convince him that why he needs to take this job, very enticing and very opportunistic, a big opportunity, obviously. And that could, if they were to offer him $100 million gig, for just being part of that group, not playing any sport, that would be tremendous here. And actually, there was a video that I saw when he was interviewed with the Pat McAfee show, his YouTube channel, and he goes on to mention that you cannot fault the players for accepting those pot size money, because you don't get that many opportunities, and it's for every individual to decide whether it makes sense for them, regardless of the repercussion of what people will say regarding your decision here. And same goes for Mr. Barkley here. And if he's given opportunity, I think he also considers it. And at the end of the day, everyone has their freedom to choose, and choose the consequences that's attached to those decisions, and live with those consequences here. Now, whether we should criticize in terms of his choice, that's a different matter here. But at the end of the day, the golf is at critical juncture. If they don't take care of their players, the professional players at that, could have a serious impact in the golfing scene moving forward here. And this is just the start of, if the Live Golf group is very strategic in terms of poaching, not just players, but if they're able to find a TV network to showcase the event, not just on online or in the internet or in YouTube, then they'll make a big stride in trying to compete with the likes of the PGA tournaments here. And according to Dan Patrick, as mentioned, Charles knows that he may lose endorsement if he were to accept the invitation here. So if you're gonna go after Charles Barkley, you don't have a TV deal, and you have David Verity. What are you going to give Charles Barkley? So obviously you can give him a lot of money to entice him. And as mentioned, and Charles says he's going to listen to them, and by, I believe, tomorrow night, and decide what he's going to do, and he might even have to leave TNT. That's why this is a huge deal, and Charles know that he may have to leave TNT to do this. And maybe he has to leave, maybe he can do both. But obviously, if he were to stay with the TNT group, there will be severe repercussions with the advertisements with the companies that is partnering, that is against with the Live Golf here. So that's a very dicey situation, and having to choose. And obviously TNT is going to lose a major key contributor in their core group of 4 people there. And obviously it was more entertaining and more interesting with Mr. Charles Barkley and Mr. Shaquille O'Neal present in their discussion. Not to say that Kenny Smith is not that entertaining, and Mr. Ernie Johnson as well, but the dynamic of the 4 individuals here makes it special for the way, if you've seen the many hilarious jokes, the skits, I won't say skits, but different incidents with regards to uh, uh, when Charles Barkley makes a mistakes, make fun of each other, and especially the funny bit that they laughed out loud. Even I found it funny, where Mr. Shaquille O'Neal stated uh, that the moon is closer to LA, since you cannot see LA from where they were at Atlanta, but they can he can see the moon from afar. It's much closer, and trying to debate that was hilarious. And eventually he found out later on that the moon is 10 days away, even though you can see it. But obviously it's much farther than when we visualize it, or what we see in the sky here. And the fact that it's only a few hours away from Atlanta, from the east side going to the west side, going to LA here. And another thing is, when Shaq was trying to explain to Kenny regarding how to save gas by, instead of filling it to full gas, you just fill it 3 quarters, and then it would fill it again. But it's the same logic. You have to fill as many times to be able to get the full logic here. And I do strongly suggest you check out the video to 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 see how funny it is. And the list goes on and on in their discussion. And that's what makes the tandem of those 4 people tremendous here. And if one of them were to leave, in this case Mr. Charles Barkley, I think it won't be the same, and trying to replace Mr. Barkley would be nearly impossible. And obviously the success won't be as at the same heights as well. Anyway, leave your comments down below if you think, if you agree with Charles Barkley in terms of seriously considering, or should he consider accepting the job, and live with the repercussions, and just take the money, just like with the other players as mentioned here. Anyway, that's it for this week. Come back again on Wednesday for more business update. Continue supporting the channel. So don't forget to leave your comments down below. Hit the like and subscribe button to help grow this channel. We're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, so let's keep those subscribers going. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.